Welcome back to the podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Laura Murray, and I am so glad you're here. Today, we're diving into a topic that affects more people than you might think: financial fraud. But don't worry, this episode isn't all doom and gloom. We're joined by Sharlene Wells from Mountain America Credit Union, who's here to share how the Utah Fraud Prevention Coalition is taking action, helping you stay one step ahead of scammers and keeping your hard-earned money safe. Let's give it a listen.
Sharlene, thank you so much for joining us on Fresh Off the Set with this super, super important topic.
Oh, you're not kidding. Thank you, Brooke. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you. Thank you.
We are so glad to have you. Now, let's talk a little about this because fraud, I feel like it is everywhere right now. How prevalent is financial fraud?
Oh, it just keeps going up year over year. In fact, the stats in Utah, I was just looking at the last 6 years, and anybody can go on to ftc.gov and you can go state by state to see what's happening. And first I'll say fraud is kind of the big umbrella word, but fraud is a little bit different than scams. And Utah is number one in imposter scams. So fraud is the unauthorized use of your information like credit cards or bank account or something like that, right? But scam is when you get tricked by a trusted source, what you think is a trusted source, your bank, a family member that it sounds like a family member in trouble, or any kind of trusted source, even including your utilities. You know, anything can be that source. So in Utah alone, I was looking at the numbers since 2020, we have gone up year over year, 30 million in fraud loss. Year over year. This year, we are on pace for about 115 million in fraud loss. And that's for Utah. I think we're one of the highest. But here's the good news.
Oh, good. You were starting to scare me, Sharlene. I was like, oh, no.
Here's the good news. And it's kind of weird because as I was looking at the numbers going up 30 million every single year, this year is the first year where it's looking like it might be flat. So last year, it was at about 115 million in fraud loss. This year, we're anticipating about the same. So instead of 145 million. So I'm hopeful. I'm keeping fingers crossed that we don't head into the Christmas season and now we see it even worse. But as of right now, we're on pace for about the same as last year. And it's just too high. It is hurting people. And it's not just the elderly. A lot of people think, oh, it's mostly elderly that just don't know. No, it's our youth too, because they're so trusting and they're new in this world of banking and finance and everything. In fact, one of our speakers who's coming October 2nd, we can talk more about that, is Melissa Holyoke, and she's an FTC commissioner. And she was telling me that her own daughter had lost all of her savings of $3,000. And here's why. I mean, it sounds so realistic. She got a call from what she thought was her bank. And they said, you know, if you move your money over to this other account, you're going to make more on interest. Well, you know, to a young gal, that seems plausible. Yeah. And I probably, you know, if I didn't know because of what I'm doing right now, that don't believe it when somebody just says they're your bank, you know, then it's easy to fall for stuff like that because you think you're doing the right thing. But that's what they do, Brooke. It's scary.
Well, and like you said, I think one of the reasons that Utah maybe has it so high is because I feel like, I would love to say this about it, we're good people here in Utah, right? I think that
you are absolutely right.
Expect and hope for the best out of people, which unfortunately can set us up for things like this. And I love that you mentioned that this can happen to anybody. A lot of us think, oh, I'm too smart to fall for a scam, or I'm too smart to have this happen. No, it can happen to anyone. And they're getting more and more sophisticated with the technology they're using, and they're just making it incredibly difficult. I'm happy to hear you're saying that things are flatlining a little bit. And I'd like to think that that's happening because of the work that you're doing.
Oh, I would love to think of that too. I think it's a huge combined effort. I mean, we got together, this was a couple of years ago, and sat down with the head of Utah Bankers Association, Howard Headley, and the head of Utah Credit Union Association, Scott Simpson at the time, now it's Rusty Cannon, and just sat down and go, you know what, banks and credit unions, we may not see eye to eye on a lot of things, but boy, do we have the same enemy. And we need to protect our customers, our members from this fraud. We need to educate them. And so we came together and start putting together a structure. And now the Utah Fraud Prevention Coalition is the combination, the combined efforts of banks, credit unions, and law enforcement enforcement. So part of our board structure actually includes law enforcement, Chief Kelly Bennett. And so he's representing the Utah Chiefs of Police Association. We just, our whole focus, Brooke, was to collaborate among all these different areas of interest in our economy, businesses, governments, universities, law enforcement, the financial institutions. And we first started we had these little meetings, it was over a year ago. We got together with each different entity. First it was businesses, then it was governments, and just started listening, where's their pain? What do they need more of? And then we put together our first semi-annual conference. That was back in February. And we have our second one coming up October 2nd. And I hope that everybody is talking about fraud and what to do, what not to do. Basically, it's like stop. Mm-hmm. Don't do it. Don't click. And if anybody asks for any information over the phone, anybody's calling you, anything like that, you just don't give it to them. You say, tell you what, thank you for calling me. Thank you. But I'm going to call my bank, my credit union, and I'm going to find out.
But it doesn't hurt to double check, right? I think we all have our mismanners, right? Where we don't want to be rude or we just assume. And it's like, no, it's okay. And you know what? If it is your bank calling, I bet the person on the other line is really happy to hear somebody being cautious, and they think this is the kind of client that we want in our bank.
Absolutely. And no bank will ever ask you for your personal information.
They have it.
They won't. They have it. Exactly. So, you just never, ever give personal information. Just if there's a link, don't click on it. First call. In fact, I'm suspicious of everything. I send everything. Fortunately, I've got at work. In fact, I tell, our members, go ahead and send whatever you've got, a text or an email, send it over to phishing, phishing at macu.com. And we'll tell you if it's legit. Almost every single time I do that, they go, this is not legit.
Absolutely.
They go, okay, thanks for telling me, because sometimes you just don't know. But, I've heard these horror stories of people losing so much money. And there's a lot that we can do, and we do it quickly. We'll try to freeze assets. If it's on your credit card, that's something, I don't know if most people know this, but banks and credit unions, we reimburse our customers and members. That's a lot of money on us. That's why we're the ones that provide that credit card for you. So that's why even my own boss, our CEO, he only uses his credit card. He doesn't use a debit card, because if it's a debit card, it's gone, right? It's out of your account. But a credit card, you'll have that fraud protection.
Such a great tip. I hope everybody's really listening to that. It's like, I know it's sometimes hard when you think, I'm using my credit card debt, things like that. But like you said,
you just pay it off every month. Just pay it off every month. That's what I'm teaching my kids. You just make sure you do that every single month, and you get all those rewards. I mean, at least for us, we're doing like 2% back cash. That's really awesome to have that.
Well, and with these scams, I feel like if it's too good to be true, it probably is. The story you shared with your friend, if somebody's offering you a way to make more money and it just sounds like it's so easy, I think that your little spidey senses should be going off at that point, right?
You are so right. And it's so easy to just say, thanks for the tip. Okay, I'll call my bank this afternoon. I'll just call them later. Goodbye.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the Utah Fraud Prevention Coalition, as you were mentioning. What are the main goals that you guys have?
Okay, thank you. Yes, it's about collaboration. So I mentioned that a little bit earlier about working with all the different agencies. So we partnered with the Utah League of Cities and Towns. That's 400 mayors. We partnered with the Utah Association of Chambers, all the chambers around the state. They constantly get our information. We're partnering, as I mentioned, all the banks and credit unions, and of course with law enforcement. So first it was collaboration, so that we're talking to each other. The second one is communication. So that is, we have to talk. And one of the problems that we were noticing just behind the scenes is that some in law enforcement and some in our financial institutions didn't even have contact information for each other. So here they're trying to freeze some assets really fast, and they're trying to figure out who to talk to. Well, that should not be an issue. They should know exactly who to talk to. So communication part of it. So collaboration, communication, and then education. One of the things that we're working on right now, we're partnering with MX, creating a website for us so that every single month and as needed, as the trends occur, we're able to put on that website all the latest in what's happening in frauds and scams so that people know what to look for, putting together these toolkits that all the financial institutions can send to their own members and customers and go, okay, this is what we're seeing. Be really careful about like when you're paying for gas, and be careful about inserting your card because they actually have, oh, you would not believe this.
I remember
There's
seeing
actually,
a news story
have you heard about that?
this. Yes, we covered that here, and I remember.
There are teams of, and especially Venezuela is really big on this. They create teams where they teach them how to take out that whole card system, replace it with their own system, and then about an hour later, they call it the jackpot, the ATM jackpot, because about an hour later, it's spitting out money. They just keep coming up with this stuff, whether it's card skimming or the ATM jackpot or something. I mean, it's just so hard to tell. But we'll be putting out more and more of those tips. The site is not live yet, but we anticipate that it'll be live. It should be live by the time we have our conference October 2nd.
Oh, this is so great. Like you were mentioning, the collaboration that's happening, because if we can have the knowledge out there, knowledge is power, and we'll hopefully avoid these things before it happens. Now, you're the chair of this coalition. How did that all come together, and what's your vision for the future?
So as we put together the board structure, I think I'm the only one on there that's not a fraud expert, but I was so passionate about the need to protect our members. I work with Mountain America Credit Union, and so I think I was the most annoying one about, hey, we got to do this, we got to do that. And so they go, okay, you get to be chair.
Well, you're a communications expert. And you've mentioned it's like the communication and collaboration that is at the heart of this problem.
Yeah. So we're now moving into our phase of the education part and putting things into place. And as you know, with just a coalition, we didn't have any funding. So as we put together these partnerships and this in-kind partnership with MX to put together this website, that's what's going to allow us to create this communication channel so that we can constantly be feeding information and, people sending questions to us. You know what, our vision for the future actually would be that there's this app or something where if somebody gets a call, gets a text, gets an email, or there's a link or something that they can, screenshot it, something, and on this app, just upload what it is, and the app will tell you that it's legit or not legit. And that just gives people comfort that there's this third party. We were talking to all the fraud experts on this particular idea for this app, and they go, if they were to take a look at it and who's creating it and who's behind it, then they could verify it and make sure that this is the right approach for people. But I think most people, they're by themselves and they see this and they immediately think that, oh, this is what I need to do. But if they have a resource, some way that they can just check and just have somebody else just go, not a good idea. Stop. Don't go get all those gift cards and send to that person.
the peace of mind, right? And like we were talking earlier, the technology is changing. It's no longer the Nubian prince that needs you to help supply things. There was always those scams that everybody knew about. Let's talk a little bit about how you guys are fighting the technologies that are coming in, because it's just getting tougher and tougher to spot these fraudulent charges and things like that. And a lot of times they use these fear tactics.
Okay, you totally nailed it. That's what it's about. If you see that somebody is saying something, anything urgent, like I need this right now, I need this information right now, or you are going to jail, or you are in trouble, or you are going to lose all your money, that's pretty certainly a scam. So these are the kinds of, it's psychological warfare.
It is.
It's like we're going to tap into your sense of the importance of security in your life, and we're going to just tear it apart. So yeah, you are absolutely right that it's fear, it's urgency that they're going to tap into. And that's one of the things that alerts you that, red flag, red flag.
Are there any other big red flags that come to mind? Is somebody, I'm sure that you've seen, unfortunately, you've seen countless tales of this, and you've seen, heartbreaking tales of people losing their life savings and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Are there any big moments you're like, if you see this, absolutely put down the phone, do not click?
Right. That when they ask you for your personal information, any kind of personal information, your bank account information, your credit card information, nobody legitimate should be asking you for that. So don't do that. If they tap into the fear, the urgency, one of the scariest ones that I heard was, and maybe you already heard this one too, with I think it was Megyn Kelly's mom, and she got a call that her grandson or something was in trouble and in jail and needed to be bailed out. And then they put somebody on the phone who was like crying. And she said it didn't sound like the person that she knew, but this person said, oh, well, I was in an accident. That's why my nose sounds stuffy or whatever. So the whole family thought that this was happening for real. And it was a few hours. It took them a few hours and a few more phone calls to figure out that it was such a scam. But, they make it sound so real. It's unbelievable that these talented people would choose to do this with their lives.
Isn't that the truth? It's like,
they do
some of
something
this
else.
effort that you put into, because like this is a huge thing that's happening. It's like you put some of this effort into good. What could you do in the world?
What could you do? Oh, I just sit there and go, you idiots.
Yeah. What's so wonderful about this coalition that you guys have created is that you guys are members of the Utah community. So you're able to tailor this to Utah. So you're able to find and spot things that are happening right here in our community. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I think I mentioned the number one fraud source is the imposter scam, like by overwhelming. I want to say like 10 to 1. And so the others are the online, the links, that kind of thing. But it's the imposter scams. And it's because, and you alluded to it, we are a very trusting community. And that's why we have such an outstanding economy, is because of trust. So it's this fine balance, because if we erode that trust, does that ultimately hurt our economy? We don't want to lose that trust that has built this great economy in our state. But at the same time, we have got to be smarter about who we trust. So here in Utah, that is a big one, that balance of who we trust, how we trust. We can still be good people. We can still be nice and hang up on them. We can do that. I've gotten good at that. Yeah, no, thank you. And hang up. I'll call my bank. And that's fine. Then you're done. Now you're not on the phone going, oh no, is this something I do or not do? I tried to get my kids, they haven't bought into it yet. I got to figure out how to do it, to have a password for our family. And I don't think any of them have been scared enough.
They haven't seen what you've seen, Sharlene. I like that. I'm all about like some kind of secret passcode. You have me at, I'm there. I think this is a great idea.
Oh, I just want a family passcode. And their rationale was, we're going to forget it, Mom. And I'm like, no, there's got to be one that everybody will agree with. So that's my mission right now, is to help my kids have a password, because they're just, I don't know if I'm going to get a call. So I've already told them, if I get a call from one of you saying you're in huge trouble and you need me to send money right away, I'm going to hang up and call your phone. That's what I'm going to do. So just so you know, that's what's going to happen. And then, because if Megyn Kelly's mom had done that, problem solved.
Right.
But she didn't call that child's phone.
And it's that fear, once again, if they don't want to lose the connection, because if something is going wrong, they want to make sure that they're doing the right thing for their family. And it all comes back to that, as you talked about earlier, that education. And that's what you guys are providing at the coalition. Yes. And that's what the conference that's coming up is going to be all about. Tell us about that and how you're helping to tackle fraud and to help our community.
Oh, excellent. So October 2nd is the conference all day long, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the Zions Technology Center. Let me give you just some of the people who are going to be speaking and the titles here. So our opening keynote is Paul Benda. He's the Executive Vice President of Risk, Fraud, and Cybersecurity at the American Bankers Association. He's one of those key folks that goes in front of Congress all the time and explains to them what's happening. And his title is called Inside the Fraud War Room: What Congress, Criminals, and Financial Institutions are doing right now and what comes next. So that's his opening. We have Dave Sterling, CIO from Zions Bank. He'll be speaking about cyber trends in Utah and beyond. Jake Broadhead is with the Utah Statewide Information and Analysis Center, and he will talk about what they do to look to fraud investigations, what their role is in fraud investigations, what they're seeing, what kind of information they provide to the state. We have Jonathan Hafen. He was this year's Lawyer of the Year, and he's here to talk about the impact and aftermath of the Rust Rare Coin Ponzi scheme. You probably remember that.
Yes, I do.
And they have now collected, I think, 50 million of the 100 million that was lost. So that's ongoing. Talk about tapping into trust here in Utah. That was a big one. We have Special Agent Darren Paul with the Utah Attorney General's Office. That's about cracking crypto crimes, smart strategies for tracking and recovering fraudulent funds. We have, I think, 2 congressmen will be there. We're hoping Congressman Kennedy can make it, and also Congressman Stile from Wisconsin. He's on the Finance Committee, and he's going to talk about what congressional hearings reveal about emerging fraud risks. We have, this is not all. We have a Jacob Strain. He is with the U.S. Attorney's Office, District of Utah, talking about big cases, big lessons, federal prosecution of securities fraud. We're doing a panel with law enforcement. It's called When Banks and Badges Align, Tackling Financial Crime Together. Oh, here's another one I'm excited about. Adam Colby. He's the director of the Texas Financial Crimes Intelligence Center, and he's coming to talk about fighting organized financial crime. That's the North Koreans, the Venezuelans, and the people right in the state who are just super smart, and how come they have saved Texas $300 million in the last 3 years. We have a discussion with Utah Attorney General Derek Brown and State Senator Kirk Cullimore about the fraud frontline, what Utah's leaders are doing. And then lastly, FTC Commissioner Melissa Holyoke talking about AI and consumer protection, the perks and pitfalls. So it's a full packed
I was going to say,
day.
this is an all-star cast too. Like this is, you are hearing straight from the people on the front lines, the experts in the field. Can anybody go to this?
Yes, because we want business there. Anybody who's got an interest in security. And at first when people are talking about, oh my gosh, we're going to open up everything. I mean, even the bad actors could come. Okay, we'll let them know. You know, we're on to everything that they're doing and that we are getting people smarter. That's why we open it up to businesses, to governments. We want everybody there. We don't want everything that's happening to be hidden behind the scenes. We want people to be aware and smart and educated.
Right, because turning a blind eye is not going to save you from fraud, right? Like if anything, it's going to make you more susceptible. I know we only have a couple minutes left, so I want to make sure that people know how they can go to this first and foremost, because I think this is going to be the biggest tip that you could possibly give somebody to avoid fraud is to come to this. And then I'd love for you to give us a closing few quick little tips of how people can protect themselves, because I think it's always nice to have a little farewell message of how people can really have actionable advice.
Right. Okay. So first you can go to either, this shows you how we are collaborating, either utah.bank or utahscreditunions.org. So I'll say that again, utah.bank, and just look under events and you can register, or utahscreditunions.org, just all one word. Perfect. Right there.
And we'll put that in the show notes for you too, so everybody can have it.
And I guess the biggest tip I would say is stop. Don't click on anything. Don't give any information. Just stop. Don't do it. And then think really hard. And if we can get people to just stop and give it a minute, they'll go, oh, wait, yeah, I shouldn't give my credit card or my bank account information. I shouldn't give any personal information. I think if people just think for a little bit and call somebody else, just say, hey, this seemed a little suspicious to me. What do you think? And that person will probably say, yeah, don't do it. Or, worst case, I'm fine handing out our Mount America. Just do phishing at macu.com. I want to see what happens.
Little case
I want to see
you.
if people, I know, right? I want to see who all sends stuff to us, because then we learn more. And the more that people are transparent, people are embarrassed about the decisions they make. And so what happens is then they don't tell anybody, that they just lost their life savings because of a decision. And so if we don't know, if they don't report it, if we don't know, we can't share in order to stop others from doing the same thing. So that's why we're trying to get this out from the shadows and just let people know. We don't want to, it's scary. Okay, yes, I do want to scare people. I was going to say, I don't want to scare, but yeah, a little bit.
But we do. We need to be afraid. And I love that you mentioned the shame aspect, because I'm sure that there's so many people that didn't share their story. And now this is why this coalition is so important, is to be able to shed the light on this, that this is not going away. In fact, it's getting more robust. It's getting scarier. So Sharlene, I want to thank you so much for your time today, because I know I learned a lot, and I know everybody listening learned a lot too. And go to that conference so that we can be prepared and talk about it and share so that other people can protect themselves. Sharlene, thank you so much for your time. We know you are such a busy woman, so thank you for joining me today.
Thank you,
so
Brooke.
Appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate the time to talk about it. Thanks, Brooke.
Congrats, you made it to the end. If you want to continue to freshen up your day, you can watch us on Fresh Living every weekday on CBS Channel 2 in Utah at 1 o'clock. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel, KUTV Fresh Living, and follow us on social media. We will see you next week.